Our good friends at the Pentagon, that's right, the Pentagon, once again got themselves in trouble by failing yet another audit. And this is now, what, number six, number seven? How many audits they have failed? And it has just become such a burden right now that responsible statecraft had to report on this, saying that the Pentagon can account for 63% of nearly $4 trillion in assets. The DOD regularly buys parts and equipment it doesn't need because it can't keep track of the parts and equipment it already owns. What a great organized bunch. 63% of $4 trillion. I'm not a mathematician, but that's, what, 2.4? $2.3 trillion they can't account for? I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, if you do your taxes and you're off by a penny, they slap you with just absolutely everything. But the Pentagon's able to get away with this for the 6th or 7th time now. So here it is. The Pentagon failed its 6th audit in a row. So it's number 6, as I thought. And failed is putting it generously. The department actually received a disclaimer of opinion. According to the Government Accountability Office, that means auditors were unable to obtain significant appropriate evidence to provide a basis for an audit opinion. So the outcome is more like an incomplete than an abject failure. But semantics aside, one major reason the Pentagon keeps failing audits is because it can't keep track of its property. Last year, the Pentagon couldn't properly account for a whopping 61% of its $3.5 trillion in assets. That figure increased this year, with the department insignificantly documenting 63% of its now $3.8 trillion in assets. Military contractors possesses many of these assets, but to an extent unbeknownst to the Pentagon. The GAO has flagged this issue for the department since at least 1981, yet the latest audit states that the Pentagon's target to correct insignificant accounting department-wide is fiscal year 2031. So anytime now. In the meantime, contractors are producing weapon systems and spare parts that they may already possess, an incredible waste of taxpayer dollars. The F-35 program is a great example. The Pentagon technically owns the global pool of spare parts for all variations of the F-35. But the program's contractors, mainly Lockheed Martin and Pratt and Whitney, manage those parts. According to the GAO, the Pentagon relies on contractors to record the cost, total quantity, and locations of F-35 spare parts in the global spares pool. The department has estimated that the value of F-35 parts in this possession of contractors is over $220 billion. But the GAO reports that it is likely significantly understated. The Pentagon does not know what or how much government property contractors have because it doesn't have access to contractor records. Lockheed Martin has been threatened to charge the Pentagon for reports on what and how many F-35 parts the government owns, but Lockheed processes. A few years ago, the corporation estimated it would take 450,000 labor hours to produce these reports, making them too expensive for even the Pentagon, which appears to have trusted this estimate. Congress authorized percent funding for 90 F-35s that year, 11 more than the Pentagon requested. Last year, the Department of Defense Office of the Inspector General noted that the Pentagon's inability to keep track of its property could lead to understate its property held by contractors and potentially buy more than it needs. In September, Inspector General Robert Storch reported that in 2021, the Army's spare parts forecasting was only 20% accurate on average. As a result, the Army overstated how many spare parts it needed by $202 million, in addition to spending another $148 million on spare parts it didn't anticipate needing at all. The other military services didn't do any better, overshooting their spare parts needed by $767 million and spending $355 million on parts they did not know they needed. All in all, the military overshot its spare parts needed by nearly $1 billion. It spent over $500 million on spare parts it didn't forecast. But yet there's not enough money for hurricane victims. There's not enough money for building housing for the homeless. There's not enough money to serve the needs of people. But we can go and spend countless amount of money with no accountability on these parts that the Pentagon doesn't even need. The Pentagon's not even requesting. Goes to show you that. Last year, Congress allocated at least $39.5 billion to procure aircrafts, their spare parts, and other equipment, despite not knowing that the government already owned. But insignificant tracking of inventor property doesn't just increase the risk of overbuying spare parts, it also inhibits the Pentagon from maintaining government property in the possession of contractors. In May, the GAO revealed that in the past 5 years, Lockheed Martin has lost, damaged, or destroyed over 1 million spare parts for the F-35 worth $85 million. The government had visibility to less than 2% of those losses, since it relies on Lockheed to voluntarily report not only what and how much government property processes, but also the condition of that property. Yeah, just leave it to them. The Pentagon clearly has a lot of work to do to properly track its property and produce audible financial statements. It has no idea what equipment it already owns, so it can't maintain its property or anticipate what more it needs. The department is spending taxpayer money recklessly, but taxpayers cannot wait till 2031 for the Pentagon to correct its decades-old inventory problem. So I bring this up because, the Pentagon could save hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more, by properly accounting for its assets in rare wins for taxpayers. The department realized some of these savings in 2019, when the Department of Defense Inspector General flagged errors in the Navy's property and inventor records. In an effort to resolve these errors, the Navy located a warehouse that was mysteriously absent from its property records. Inside the warehouse, the Navy found $126 million worth of spare parts for P-8 Poseidon, the P-3 Orion, and the F-14 Tomcat, the latter of which the Navy retired in 2006, over a decade previous. Thankfully, the other parts were still useful, and the Navy filed over $20 million in spare part orders without having to procure new ones. These savings are too scarce. So I bring this to attention because right now, in the Trump campaign, in the Trump coming administration, there is now the Department of Government Efficiency, the DOGE, as people like Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk are putting together because they don't want them in actual cabinet positions. So Donald Trump goes on to Elon and says, Elon, you're a nice guy. You're a nice guy. So I'm going to do you a favor, and I'm going to make this department. I'm going to make a department. You're going to be in charge of government efficiency, and you're just going to do that, okay? You're just going to do that. Don't touch anything else. So Vivek Ramaswamy, who is the co-chair of the DOGE, which just sounds like a toddler trying to explain a car company. What's that one? A DOGE. What's that one? A Ford. What's that one? A Toyota. That's what I hear when I hear the word DOGE. So Vivek Ramaswamy points out the Pentagon failed its 7th straight audit. Our healthcare system siphons billions into waste and fraud. Our Department of Education blows money without accountability. Unelected bureaucrats are the core problem. DOGE is coming. So this is supposed to be the department that's supposed to look at this wasteful spending, to look at where the taxpayer money is going towards, and hold them accountable. Which sounds good in theory. It sounds good in theory. But I say it sounds good in theory because of what it actually implicates and how overpowering figures like Elon Musk, how they side towards military contractors. Does that mean that Elon Musk is going to bite the hand that feeds him? Because inevitably his, billions and being the richest man is because of military contractors failing their audits. So does that mean that his own department is going to go after people that made him the success story? We don't know about that. That's what makes this kind of interesting. But here's what Vivek had to say on Fox News. Listen to this.
We're not going to be cutting ribbons. We're going to be cutting costs. And so those recommendations are going to be on a real-time basis. But I do want to take a big step back and understand, for people to understand the scope of this problem. Over $500 billion in the first place. The Pentagon has just failed its 7th consecutive audit, nearly $1 trillion of budget. They can't even tell you where it goes. So I think part of this is exposing for the public the extent of that rot and waste, but then to take steps first through executive action and then laying the groundwork for broader change through legislation as well to rein in that deficit, to rein in that budget. And more crucially, Maria, I know we're talking about this in terms of efficiency, but there's something deeper going on here. This is about restoring self-governance and accountability in America as well. Elected leaders, if they make the wrong decisions, voters have a great choice. You can vote them out and remove them. Most of the people making these decisions, from healthcare to the Department of Defense, are failing on effectiveness because they have no accountability. Historically, it's been the view of many scholars to say that those people could not even be fired. Now we take a different view with the environment the Supreme Court has given us in recent years, and we're going to use that in a pretty extensive way, Maria, to move quickly.
So, it sounds like a lot of big talk, and I don't want to, be the Debbie Downer, because I do agree in the fact that we do need to wrangle in this reckless spending. We need to look into the accountability of these government agencies that are completely exploitive, that are completely abusing their powers within means, that how they're just completely diminishing the trust of these institutions, how we need to look into the Pentagon failing its, 7th audit right now. It's just horrific, and this has been going on for decades, and no one's been holding them accountable. So it all sounds like great ideas. But again, I remind people, you have to look at where this is coming from, where this voice is coming from. You got people like Elon Musk who single-handedly sides with military contractors. He gets business opportunities. He gets contracts for his work in Tesla and SpaceX to work alongside with Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. You get Vivek Ramaswamy, who he started off working in big pharmaceuticals. So are these going to be the actual responders to a situation where we need accountability when they can't even hold themselves accountable to their actions? Like, these are people that got their flourishes, got to where they are because they're also part of the problem. And now here they are going on because now they created the Department of Government Efficiency, the DOGE. Are they going to actually mean what they say? Are they actually going to take accountability for people that used to be in partnership with them, that they used to do business affairs with them? I don't know. And that's the struggling thing. That's the thing that makes me worried about position of power like Elon Musk has right now. That's what makes me a little cringeworthy of that, because Elon Musk, even though, people like to adore him as, Trump's best friend and, he's going to do great things for free speech and all this stuff, he is still a corrupt businessman. He is still a corrupt billionaire. Let's not forget that. He is no different than any other billionaire on earth, but people like to peddle him in a different limelight because of the fact that he sides with Trump, because of the fact that he bought X. He's allowing some people to have a free speech. There are some people that got shadow banned and kicked off of X, which kind of diminishes the purpose of free speech. But anyway, there's a lot of things to say about Elon Musk, and this is one of those things that I feel like it's good that they're acknowledging this, but where is this going to go? And considering the fact that right now, This is the most I've seen out of a place like DOGE. That the Department of Government Efficiency is turning more and more like a 12-year-old's MySpace page if memes were introduced back in, the early 2000s. And this is the kind of caricature that Elon Musk has made himself to be. That people put him in this light of being this like ultimate, visionary, and how smart he is, how dedicated, because he gets a bunch of billions of dollars. He invented, these Tesla cars and how magnificent they are, and SpaceX and the rockets that he's doing. But in the end, his flourishings, his money, the reason he is the top billionaire probably on earth, or one of the top 3, is because of his business practices aiding certain agencies that now he's trying to call out. So this is where I get conflated with this. I get conflated in the fact that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are creating this agency, creating memes that look like they're Terminators, as you can see here, and their call to action is to go after and hold accountable the people that made them the success story that they are right now. Like, I just have a hard time understanding that. That's what worries me about this. And considering the fact that right now, Trump is not officially inaugurated, but there's no real plan. There's no real enactment. This is just an agency that just came out of the blue. They just created this as a way to bring Elon Musk in a position of politics. Because let's face it, they weren't going to get, Elon Musk Secretary of State or anything like that. They had to reserve that for a true Zionist. So Trump had to, create this fake agency. Elon, you're my best friend, and we had the great time on space, but I'm going to create this agency, and you're going to look like a big shot, okay? Okay? And that's what it just seems to me. It seems like this is, the kind of inner narcissist, the kind of fanboy, that a lot of the incel community will soak up to a person like Elon Musk and champion him for being this visionary to, combat the troubles of politics and the troubles of government, when really, if you understand the backstory, if you understand where Elon Musk came from and how he became the success story that he is now, you'd be wondering why he would be part of this, why he would be leading a Department of Government Efficiency when his entire career span was manipulated and purposely abusing the powers and having business practices with these agencies that they're trying to combat. So it's very conflicting. And I don't see it as an opportunity. I don't see it as a good measure into actually going with this. There's already just a mistrust and people trying to put that towards someone like Elon Musk. Again, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, because all fairness, there is government deficiency. There's mass amounts of corruption. There's mass amounts, as we just saw in that report. But does that mean Elon Musk is going to go after the Pentagon? I doubt it. But it does look like that maybe with Elon Musk's power, they could have potentially go after things like Social Security, things like Medicare, things that people, for years, politicians have been going after. But when you have a person like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, that gives them more leverage to do so. That's the thing that worries me.